Começamos mais um Podbi, e se você não está inscrito nesse canal, já se inscreve no canal. Meu nome é João Augusto, eu sou o apresentador aqui do podcast. E se você, só para falando para vocês que nós hoje vamos falar em inglês totalmente, mas tem lá as configurações e vocês podem, lógico, trocar nos captions e fazendo com que, né, quem não é familiarizado com o idioma, entenda o idioma. Bom, vamos lá falando para vocês também que tá chegando o Natal e não deixe de, né, encomendar a sua boa sobremesa para a última hora. Essa última hora é lógico que a gente sempre que pensa no Natal, a gente quer comer bem. E não dá para esquecer de que quando a gente fala de comer bem, da Brigadeiro. Brigadeiro tá fazendo sobremesas incríveis agora para o nosso Natal. Não percam, vou deixar aqui o QR Code e peça logo até mais ou menos 15 de dezembro, tá, gente? Porque tá babado, tá muita encomenda lá para Andréia. Well, guys, today we're going to talk in English. What I said to you guys, and for me, you've been new about talking about this field because I always see people talking also big trends in the TikTok and everything in the internet. And today we find some specialists to talk about this. So my special guest, he's from South Africa. He has been here in Australia for 12 years, and he is literally a special practitioner for hypnotherapist. Okay, now I said something right because at the beginning I was a little bit like, oh my gosh, this word is too long. So welcome, ladies and gentlemen, for Ernest Frost. 100 claps here for us. Hold on. Yes, welcome, my friend. Thanks for coming to the Podbi. Honestly, it was a big pleasure to have you here. You can say now.
I'm glad to be here, and
I love being nervous. Too much cameras.
Well, let's go through it.
Yes.
I can
So
inform them.
Yes, of course. Let's introduce a little bit yourself. So you've been here for 12 years in Australia. Why did you move here?
The main reason was, like most people, move from countries where the country itself just changed so much that the living conditions becomes less than nice.
Mm-hmm.
I had opportunity to move to another country. I think I was mugged and attacked one too many times.
Yeah.
I thought it's time to go.
Yes. So you've been here in Australia since
2011.
And then you've been hypnotherapist since then.
Yeah.
That's great. So you're always working here in Perth?
Always been in Perth, traveled a bit in Australia, but my main business has always been here. And then a lot of clients all over the world, because hypnotherapy is not specific to an office where you can do it anytime on Zoom, whether it's on the internet, on any internet platform or real life.
Yeah.
It works the same. You have the same results. In fact, I actually sometimes get better results working over the internet.
That's good.
I have clients in all the countries all over the world.
Yeah, that's the thing. The internet is a good key for these terms. Like when you put people overseas, close, you don't have more address, and you can work from home.
Exactly.
Sometimes.
Yeah. And you can do it anywhere, anytime.
Yes. And before it started like the hypnotherapist here in Australia, you're from South Africa, of course. And then how was living there?
My childhood was really happy.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. And I went and studied overseas a few years as well and lived in Austria for a few years. When I came back, I lectured at university, lecturing literature, poetry, psychology. And somewhere in my life, I decided or had a feeling I needed more. Helping and restoring was always one of my main values. But sometime in my life, I almost got a calling for restoring some at a deeper level. And then I had a very interesting experience in my life. And that switched my whole mind around about what's real and other dimensions. And then I started studying neuro-linguistic programming and hypnosis. And it was like a whole eye-opener for me. So.
This is still in South Africa?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you literally working, so if you're here 12 years, you're much more than like almost 20 years in this area, right?
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. So explain for us, because it's kind of it's new, like it's coming up now, like many kinds of therapies, which is a therapy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's you can use it for therapy as
Yes,
well.
and in different ways, correct?
Yeah.
So what do you consider like as hypnosis? Like the treatment is literally like you go sit in the person, relax, do a meditation. Could you tell us how
Yeah,
does
the
this
old
work?
traditional hypnosis would be close your eyes or relax your breathing.
Mm-hmm.
That was the way it was always done because most people's challenges is because they live in a hypnotized state. All problems you have, all these old beliefs, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, feel not loved, feeling alone. You were hypnotized basically when you were young or something has happened to you and you were put in a hypnotized state. Every problem you have is in some way something inside of you is in a hypnotic state. So all I do is re-hypnotize you to get you out of that state and put you in a different, more resourceful state.
Hmm.
But yeah, I do love myself. I really love myself. I really accept myself. So basically, I take people out of the problem hypnosis they are in living in and to put them in a new, more helping state. So the old ways was sort of help people relax and la la la. But the new ways are often just making suggestions while they sit and looking to me. And I can plant lots of suggestions in their minds while they're not even knowing that I'm planting suggestions. So new hypnotherapy is much more skillful. And I start making suggestions the moment they come into my office. I start planting suggestions. Because I have an idea what they want to work with. So I keep reinforcing the suggestions. And within a few sessions, there's a lot of new suggestions in their mind. In order to make these suggestions stick, there has to be a few conditions already there. So like great trust, great rapport, and me, myself, must be in a little bit more of a hypnotic state or trance. And when those things are all there, it works. So I don't usually do the close your eyes, sleep. Yeah, some people like that. Then I give them that. But a lot of other times, I just sit and talk to people, but I'm actually hypnotizing them. And I don't even know it because it's a specific language problem, patterns I use. So when I do hypnosis with language, there's a lot of hypnotic language patterns which will help the suggestions to go in. So it's not normal language like me and you now.
Mm-hmm.
I will use language like you had a lot of experience in your life, haven't you? And some of those experience was useful and exciting, and some of those experience you've had at some time in your life was perhaps not the best.
Yeah.
And your mind might still thinking about some of those old experiences you have. So using that type of language, I influence the mind to start looking at old stuff, reinterpreting it, and then bringing new thoughts in the mind just by sitting and talking to them. Sometimes their eyes will just close automatically, and sometimes they will just sit and stare. And you know they're in trance, and they will just sit and stare there in silence for 40 minutes, and then the work's done.
Ah,
So
that's interesting.
yeah.
Did you have someone that to try test you if you're doing the job? Like people going there, some patient they go in there and they say, "Hey, let's see if he's real. He's doing it for real."
Yeah.
Did you have some?
Yeah, you get people who want to do that, and I can say to them, "All right, you're not thinking about your left foot now, are you?" And I'm wondering if you start focusing on your left foot, if there might be a little sensation inside your left foot, and try not to have a sensation in your left foot, and maybe it's a tingly sensation, and suddenly your left foot just feels different as you keep focusing there. Now I want you to try to not focus on. And suddenly the left foot have all these sensations happening. And then I send that sensation up the leg, and suddenly this left leg becomes all warm. And so, yeah, and it's like, oh, good, what's happening here? My body is doing its own thing. So I can make people feel things in their bodies which say, where does this come from? And suddenly it's like, oh, my God, this is real working.
That's amazing. And why do people usually go for hypnosis?
There's such a vast array. The normal old stuff, which I don't do many of, like nail biting and smoking. But the things I find I use hypnosis most for these days is mainly like trauma. A lot of people had really bad traumas in their lives, countries they lived in. really bad childhoods, sexual molestations, eating disorders, relationship problems. So it's vast. There's nothing you cannot use it for, because hypnosis is a very quick, effective way to get to where it's like an electrician. Call an electrician in, and he will exactly know where's the problem. You only fix that, and the circuits run again. I think hypnotherapy is the same. The unconscious mind will show exactly where to tap, where to make the new connection, and the circuit or the energy will flow through the body again.
Is it happened before, for example, you're doing hypnosis and suddenly the person says something that is totally opposite that's supposed to be treated? For example, you said about the nail biting, which I have this problem. I should stop it. I should do the hypnosis for that and bring my brain like, don't do it, which is good. But sometimes we're doing the hypnosis and the people just come with another trauma.
When I work with things like smoking, alcoholism, drug addiction, nail biting, all of these behaviors, on one level you work with that, but there's always underneath the real reason they don't tell you, because they don't even know what's the real reason why they do this. So I always get underneath to the real reason and fix that. And then the actual coping mechanism will dissolve by itself. So I'm very hesitant to only work with like nail biting or smoking, because they stop doing that and then suddenly they do something else. Then they eat. Then you stop the eating and then they drink and you go around the clock. So I prefer to make it a more whole experience.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they just swap the one behavior for the next behavior for the next behavior, and they keep from therapist to therapist. These type of patterns, behaviors people do is usually just a coping mechanism. And you can't just fix a coping mechanism. You want to fix deeper what they are trying to cope with at a deeper level. And they don't know what it is. But that's why you come and see me.
Yeah.
I'll show you or help you to find that something is missing. Something is missing inside, and you want to fill that up. Especially like with food. There's so many eating problems and eating disorders today. You have to fill there what's missing inside.
Do you think about, for example, the food disorders? Because I think most of the population have some food disorders nowadays. Due to anxiety, stress. They say, it's kind of a rewarding thing. Like, I need it. It's like, I had a bad day. I needed this glass of wine. It's like
I'll treat myself.
Yes, I treat myself good.
Yeah.
Do you think this can be really dangerous for your brain and start to be addiction?
Of course, yeah. I think most people which have eating problems often don't realize they actually have an addiction. Because all they think about is food and how they eat food, what they're going to food. And I think the most problematic is when it's disguised in eating some other paleo diet or clean diet, but it's still, I call them invisible addictions. People who have real bad addictions with heroin and cocaine and meths, that's very visible. But a lot of people have food addictions, but it's invisible in the sense that they follow this amazing diet and it's all healthy, but all they focus on that 24 hours a day and the Instagram is food. Anything you focus on all the time is your addiction in order to make you feel better. But the moment you stop doing that, you'll get all the withdrawal symptoms like anyone else.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, social media is good, but sometimes I think it's very poison for our mind, mainly between the comparison ourselves with someone else, which is totally different. We never know what the person is doing. Some people are doing some steroids together. That's the reason the body's like that way. And then you compare, well, we're eating exactly the same way the guy eating. I'm not getting the...
Still a way to feel better about yourself.
That's it.
Whether you're using steroids or eating all those perfect foods, it's how often you do it and to the extent you do it.
Yeah.
It's the matter of importance you put on one aspect. And if that's all what your life is in the end is about, either can't stop exercising or food or whatever, it might sound nice. I mean, I had a guy who was like mowing his lawn 7 hours a day. Sounds really nice. He had best lawn in the street, but it's still like it's an addiction because he can't stop. The moment he stops, he feels anxiety. So perfectionism or all those type of things. I call them invisible addictions. It's still a way to make up for something missing inside. And through hypnosis, hypnotherapy, we want to fill what's missing there. Reprogram that original circuit which went wrong somewhere in your life. And
good question, good point you said. How can I know the therapist is working, like hypnosis is working, in terms of, for example, nail biting or food disorder?
Yeah.
How you know, like, the person doesn't need more sessions?
Well, when the behavior is gone and they realize, I haven't bitten my nails for a week or two. There's no desire for that.
Okay.
All the desire for that behavior is gone. It's just not there anymore. And often when it changes unconsciously, the person only realizes later, I'm not doing that anymore. Or someone who was fearful of being with themselves, and we call it love addictions. A lot of people have love addictions. They're always dating, and they can't be for 5 minutes in their own company, and they get anxious. And suddenly they realize one day, I haven't been on a date for like weeks and months, and I feel comfortable. That's how you know it. It must be measurable. It must be really measurable. A lot of therapy, the old talk therapies, psychotherapy, all of those therapies, you talk and you talk and you talk. But I like change which is measurable, because when I studied psychology at university, my second year, the professor said to me, Mr. Frost, we can't really make people change. We just listen to them. I thought, no, I would like them to change.
Yeah.
What's the point of listening to people and they don't
get the money?
And then I decided, no, traditional psychology, I'm not going this route anymore. I want real change in people, a before and an after. Like, you go for a shower, you're dirty, afterwards you can actually see, I look different. And I want permanent change. And through hypnotherapy, there's a lot of new therapies out there. All those things works in the unconscious mind. And those are the ones which really works. Any of the others are often very super on the surface level. The real things which work, you have to work in the unconscious mind, because most problems lies in the unconscious mind. If you don't do a therapy or a technique to work there, it's like someone needs an operation. They have a, broken shoulder or hip, and you keep massaging them or stroke their skin. And the bones are like, you need to go inside. Or something in your car engine is broken. You keep polishing your car and it's clean, and you vacuum it again. You have to go inside in the engine where the actual problem is. So that's basically what hypnosis is for, to go inside that parts of the mind where the problem is and fix that.
That's great. Yeah, that's really great. That's
so it must be measurable, and the person must see the change before and after. And they will totally feel like a different person. Yeah, so someone who has some anorexia is like, afterwards is like, I maintain a normal weight and it just comes natural. I think the main thing people say to me, it feels to me I have real choice now. I can mow my lawn or not mow my lawn. I can eat or not eat. It's a real choice. That old drive or attraction is gone.
That's good. Yeah. That's amazing. Question. What's the difference between NLP and hypnosis? It looks like the same, isn't it? Or no?
There's similarities, but there's also differences. NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, is often more a structured way, like almost following certain steps, a little technique-like. A technique with 6 or 7 or 8 steps. And through following the steps, you can make the difference in the unconscious mind. I think the basis of NLP is modeling successful people. So people who's great athletes, or people who's good with making money, or people who's good at singing or whatever, is modeling those people. And if you copy what they do and you do the same, you can be successful. So it's the strategies they use inside of their minds to make them successful. The things they believe about themselves. It's literally getting into the person's mind. And if you do and extract what they're doing inside, you will have success. That's cool. It's a really interesting philosophy. So you can use NLP just going to any successful person, figure out what they're doing, and NLP actually give you the tools to figure out, say for instance, someone who maintain healthy weight. If you're going to figure out what are they doing inside of them, and you extract that, and NLP show you how to do that, you do the same, you'll have the same success. So it's a sort of a science with certain techniques to help you to get to your outcome if you follow successful people. So that's different from the old school psychology, which was mainly focusing on people who have problems. NLP go, hey, let's look at how does this people always happy? What are they doing inside? What's their thoughts? What their beliefs, their values, the strategies inside? Let's model them. If I do the same, I can be happy. So NLP is mainly studying successful and happy people instead of
depression.
Yeah,
because I think they give you more database in they say, I think they have more, how can I say that, but they give you more details, like why they are happy, how come they can be happy, or something like that. When you're depressed, you don't want to talk.
And the more you focus on the problem, the bigger the problem becomes.
Yeah.
So in every session I do, once we fix old stuff, we have to get into the resourceful state. It's really important. When I do a hypnosis session, we always go into the future where the problem is already gone. Let's go and meet. What does it feel like? What do you see? What do you believe about yourself now? What do you say to yourself? I always go to the future where the problem is already solved. And I come back there again after the session. So we spend a lot of time in the actual outcome instead of wallowing in the past all the time. The outcome must always be bigger. Well, old school psychology was more about the problem. We still do that if necessary, because it's something in the past. But I want to really build the outcome state and keep building it and keep building that. Make that much bigger than the actual problem.
Absolutely. It's kind of, I see it's many therapists nowadays, many of my friends, they have the same situation that sometimes they say, I don't like when you're doing therapy, I don't need to say anything because I don't have any problem. So I don't know what I'm going to talk or what are you going to talk, what are you going to discuss. So it's kind of these old-fashioned ones. I understand totally that. Question. I heard that the NLP, they have some different techniques, okay? Can you tell me what are the most common techniques the NLP has?
I think the most techniques NLP is known for is submodalities and anchoring. I mean, those are two things which NLP brought into the world, which we call submodalities and anchoring, which is recoding how the brain codes stuff. So if you code something in a certain coding, with submodality switches, you can recode them very easily in a new coding. And then anchoring comes from Pavlov. And I always find it that was 100 years ago, Pavlov had conditioning, but it was never used in psychology. NLP actually take classical conditioning and just recondition the brain or the nervous system really quickly. So
is it working in any kind of situation?
Any kind. Yeah.
Any kind.
Yeah.
So can you, for example, do in terms of I'm suffering for a grief. When I was suffering a grief, when my partner passed away, is believe me, it stayed 2 years in my brain, that thing. So today we have some dates, we have some situations that's always coming up, but it's light, like not too strong like before. When I feel like, oh my gosh, I don't want to feel this. With these techniques, is it's making more softer the pain, or it's kind of you forget the pain?
I like what you're saying. Yeah, you'll forget the pain. You'll still remember, but you'll remember with a new feeling of love, a feeling of acceptance, feeling of gratitude. Those are the ones you want to feel instead of the pain. So with NLP techniques, it can help you, because sometimes when something is really big, we get stuck in a certain feeling, and the brain or the body can't move past it. NLP techniques and hypnosis can actually just move on to the next level. And there's beautiful techniques in NLP to help the nervous system just moving on in its own time. You know, if someone has experienced a cat has just died, or dog, or someone really, mother, child, boyfriend, whatever, and it's like a week, and they want a technique to get over it, I will not take that. There is a natural grieving process for the body. I will do that. The clients I see is like someone has died years ago, and they still grieve. Then I know something inside the nervous system got stuck, like a record, old-time record. So I will just do something for the nervous system to move on, using NLP techniques. Or there's really nice techniques with fall-through technique, submodality changes, without having to talk. They don't have to tell me everything about the person who died or the experience. The less they tell me, the better.
Yeah.
They can actually just sit there in silence most of it.
I was checking your website, the technique about feeling love. Feeling love. This is a technique that makes people feel they are powerful for themselves, they own themselves, and they have the right to say things and look in the mirror and say, hey, I look good. This is kind of this, or can you explain this?
There's a few techniques to feel love, but the one I like to is just as a person sit in front of me, I just often say, now I want to take a deep breath, relax your body, relax your mind. I want you to begin to imagine 3 people can come into this room who truly, deeply, and unconditionally love and accept you. Tell me when they are here. And they always say, yeah. Then I'll say, now, I want these people, animals, spirit beings, whatever your beliefs are, to take a space in the room. And I want you to make eye contact with each one of them, one after the other, and open up your heart. And this technique, we call it association and dissociation. Then I take the person and floating into every one of these people and experience how this person loved them. And that person for the first time begin to realize what it feels like to be totally, totally loved. And they go from one to the other. So thank you. And bringing all of this love then back to themselves. And that's a very powerful experience. And sometimes I bring in a spirit being, some people bring in an angel, but the unconscious mind will choose sometimes someone who's died and say, oh, I see a friend from school years here. They never know who the unconscious mind will choose. It's spontaneous. But whoever is chosen for that experience will be an amazing experience.
Is it the same, this technique, the feeling love, I saw that is technique as well, multiple brain integration. It's kind of similar to like step by step.
Yeah, so multiple brain integration is, it's called the head brain, the heart brain, and the stomach brain. The heart brain has a lot of neurons, stores memories. The stomach is the oldest brain, and it stores a lot of memories. Most times when I work with old stuff, the stomach brain is the oldest one, and it's the most powerful one because it stores fear. And the oldest emotions before birth comes from deep, deep inside the stomach. So you want to integrate the stomach brain with the heart brain and this brain.
Yeah, because it's all to control your emotions. So you need to have...
It starts all down in the stomach. So when I do this, usually it goes down. At some stage, it will go really deep inside the stomach. That's where the original healing needs to take place. The stomach brain. But once it's aligned, all the brains are aligned. Yeah, it's magic.
It's magic when the lives become.
Most people try to figure it out in their left brains or their logical mind, which is no power.
Yeah, I totally believe.
The new brain has very, very little power.
I brought one person here recently, and she studies neuroscience. Yeah, and she was saying about the power of food. That's they say, oh look, the food has been so much powerful in our brain. Do you think, like in your sessions, do you recommend some kind of food for people or avoid some kind of food for doing sessions?
I will ask general questions about the way they live and the eating habits. And if someone has come and see me for depression, and I will ask them what's their eating habits, because depression starts again in the stomach, because the stomach sends signals to the brain. And if you have an unhealthy gut genome, gut microbiome, chances are that whatever technique we do, if the stomach doesn't get the proper food, you're going to have some form of feeling down, because this brain gets signals from the stomach all the time. So you have to have a very healthy gut microbiome. It constantly communicates. And if you have really a lot of bad sugary foods, there is no communication. So I will always ask that, figure out what the eating is, although I won't really give advice for that. But I will, if they have a really bad diet and a lot of alcohol drinking, I'll tell them to go and see nutritionists, get that ready first. I usually let them rate the eating out of 10 healthy. If they're anything 6, 7, yeah. If they tell me like a 2, no, I don't have enough to work with, because the stomach is starving for oxygen and good stuff. I'll tell them, fix that first and then I'll see you. Otherwise, you don't have a base. There's no...
Yeah, you can fix everything.
No. So I often let them do that first.
Yes. No, absolutely. No, because I was thinking, like, you're working with the hypnosis and the brain. Brain's the main shower of our body. And people need to understand that it's not just about this. It's about another reasons as well. Yeah. You need to fix the things for yourself. Yeah. So, yeah, I was just thinking like, well, the food is important.
Very There's so many studies out there since fast food and takeaway food has become part of our society. Depression has 10 times got worse. And I totally believe it's because of bad living habits.
Yeah. Sleeping bad, less, eating
sedentary
badly.
lifestyle. Not moving. When we were at school, there were a lot of movements and playing outside. Now everyone sits. The body needs movement. And takeaway food for us as children didn't almost exist.
Yeah.
Now it's just everywhere. So those things are really, really important. So when I help people to change, I like to look at it as an identity change.
Yeah.
So it's not only fixing one problem, it's like becoming a different person. And that's the type of people I like to see. If they just want to fix one little habit and the rest of their life is completely out of whack and horrible, I often would prefer not to work with them. I like more whole brain, whole body, holistic changes, that it's a whole life change. Because those things last. So it's like creating a new identity where a person can say, no, I'm not the same person anymore.
Yeah, that's the thing. How do you work with denials? Okay, the person is there, and the patient is there for a while, and this person is not really like, you see that the person is kind of holding back, allowed you go inside of that specific trauma, a specific thing that they want to work. It's like, I want to help him, but I don't. How do you work with this?
Yeah, sometimes it does happen, and a few sessions later, we come to a space, so, okay, let's be honest and open now. A lot of drug addictions, alcohol addictions, food addictions, there's always secrecy and lies. I know that. It's part of any addiction. So I give enough rope for that, because I know there won't be honesty in the few sessions. That comes later. And in that moment, when the person is very honest, they become vulnerable.
I see.
The denial, there's no vulnerable. Because the moment the denial is out, the person is at the most exposed and most vulnerable. And all addictions, those type of things, usually come from deep shame, deep embarrassment. So you have to be careful how to go there. It takes some time and not just expose it. It's a slow dance between me and the client sometimes. Still, the unconscious mind trusts me enough to show that very vulnerable spaces. And then that moment when all the defenses drop, all the denial drop, that's when the real work starts. Because then they allow me in.
You go and help.
Yeah, then I can. But then all the defenses is down. But then there's trust. And often because of trauma, it takes a bit of time sometimes to build that trust. The work you do might be just a session or 2. But the preparation might take 5 or 6 sessions before a client is ready to allow you in. So that often, the pre-work is often longer than the real work.
Yeah, take some time, It's not magic. It's like
trust.
It's a trust. Yeah, believe. And it's treatment, it's a healing. So it takes some time. It's not magic, like easy. easy
No,
done.
but sometimes it's like magic as
Yeah.
well. I have found sometimes. Oh my!
Have you
goodness.
received some
Yeah,
some feedbacks about this? Sometimes people come and
Yeah.
say, "Hey, you changed my life."
Yeah, it's just like out of the blue, someone would say, "Hey, you know that thing you did with me? That's gone, totally gone. I just want to let you know." Yeah.
That's good.
It's like and really magic, just like completely gone. Certain fears I had, it's like, oh, you know what? I was driving in the car. I just like feel completely comfortable. I can get into a elevator or something, and I can swim. You won't believe it. I swam in the sea. It's like, and I had no fear, or any of these stuff. Even allergies. When I work with allergies, and it's like, you know what? I eat an orange and I could breathe. There was no, didn't use my EpiPen. It was all fine.
It's more, yeah, but believe me, honestly, it's more about our brain, most of the disease.
Yeah.
It's more about how you're dealing, how you're healing by yourselves than some of the medicine. Because this medicine is there, so it's easy to get and put pills in the mouth and say, hey, dealing.
But it's
But-
surface level change a lot of the times.
Mm.
Like when you have some form of depression and you can heal without the pills. Sometimes just asking the right questions can help a person to get out of that.
Mhm.
Taking the pills often just mask it more and more and more and more. I think the whole serotonin and brain imbalances, that old model is getting really old school now. People don't believe in that anymore.
Yeah.
The brain and the body knows how to heal itself. It just needs a bit of help. And these techniques we do is a little bit of help.
Yeah, no, all the techniques are amazing. I think it's good.
Without pills, a lot of things can be done. There's place for medication, of course. Operations, yeah, of course. But a lot of things is setting the mind right first. And mind, yeah, all the brains, the whole of the body.
Yeah, the only answers most of the time is inside ourselves.
Yeah.
We know that what you do, but you need someone to give you the answer. Say, hey,
You need
you
a bit
should
of
do.
help. Yeah.
Yeah, which is okay. You know, everybody works differently. Question: what happens in your body during the EMDR? I mean, EMDR. Yeah.
EMDR is it works also in the unconscious mind. It works in the amygdala of the brain, and through the eye movements, it releases trauma and it brings whole brain communication. Very similar when you use ayahuasca, psilocybin, ketamine, those type of drugs which are used now for therapy as well. It brings whole brain communication. So if you look in a scanner, you actually see the whole brain lighting up. So EMDR doing very much similar. The whole brain lights up and it connects different part of the brain. Think of a trauma as it's a part of the brain is sort of shut off. The trauma lives in that part of the brain. Through the eye movements, different quadrants of the eyes, you actually open up that old quadrants and the brain starts communicating. It's in a way forced by forcing, because I can see when I work with the eyes where's the little bleeps, and by moving the quick movements and forcing it, I can see where the eyes don't want to go because that's where the trauma lies. Forcing it into that, the brain starts releasing the trauma and then communicating. They feel it in the body as well. It will open up the stomach and the heart and everywhere the trauma is stored.
Can you see, by my curiosity now, can you see in the people's eyes when you asking questions, when they push their eyes up, down, this, right? Can you see if the people is hiding something?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's a big
see where
secret.
the eyes go and I see where the eyes don't go.
No, so I'm
I
not
know when they're
blinking
speaking
anymore
the
for you.
truth,
I will
and
be like this.
And I
I
know
will
when
be
they're
the-
not speaking the truth, because when you're speaking the truth, your eyes will have a certain pattern. And when not speaking truth, the eyes will be a different pattern. So I can really quickly calibrate when there is a lie. Not that I want to cash them out, but I know, okay, there's they call it ego state coming in now, protecting, and so voice tone change, skin color changes, eye changes, everything changes.
Yeah, I think the feeling, it's like when you like you have a fear for something. People can see when you have a fear, you are but animals smelling that, like you have feared, so they attacking that the person or someone that you have that fear because they know that you can react.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's the same thing. Wow. Well
NLP, a good NLP practitioner is a mind reader as well. A good NLP practitioner will look at you and know exactly what you're thinking. So I think a lot of Secret Service agents are actually trained in NLP, and they will read your body. They will read everything, every word you say, every voice intonation. They will know exactly
if you're lying or lying.
Very, very quickly.
That's crazy.
Even faster than AI.
Oh my gosh. But guys, so today you learn that you never date someone with this field, okay? Because they can see you if you lie, if you're not lying, if you're telling the truth. You'll be like, every time you'll be like, you better write, you better start to say. Anyway, I'm joking. About the hypnosis, I have some questions in terms of what's the difference between, because I heard like people doing meditation. Sometimes are healing meditations for stress, meditations for this. So what's the difference between the meditation and hypnosis? So like, because some people do the meditations in groups, which is the guided meditation, and it make people think like, okay, you already is this person successfully powerful and this, and you know what I mean? What I'm getting from?
Yeah, I think meditation is often just a way of relaxing, feeling a little bit better. To use a metaphor, meditation is like going into a garden and sit around and feeling good and listening to the fountains and the birds. Hypnosis is actually start working in the garden, trimming the shrubs, taking trees out, and especially planting new stuff. Traditional meditation, maybe sometimes things can happen, but if a person has a lot of trauma, it's very hard to plant new suggestions. Like, I love myself, I accept myself. There's no space because the old traumas sit there. Hypnosis actually is a way to bypass or release the old trauma and then plant that stuff. So it's a little bit more involved than just traditional meditation. So meditation are not made for that. That's not the aim of meditation. Hypnosis is sort of meditation, but then with a specialized technique, what to go and change. I think it's, if I can use, like, if you're a dentist, or it's the client gets prepared, or the patient, for everything, put on everything. That's for me like meditation. Get on lie down, relax. I don't know, these days I see you put glasses on, look at the TV on there. For me, that's like meditation. Everything is ready. Then the dentist come in and he will do the work inside the mouth. Or for me, hypnosis is that doing the work part. It goes much deeper than just traditional meditation. Well, it goes really, really deep and fix the specific things inside. There is where you can actually make the little differences, where you have to get a filling or whatever. Hypnosis for me is doing the filling, or taking a tooth out, or putting an implant in. Or that's the hypnosis part. While the meditation is more the getting the person just in a relaxed, prepared state. So you will use it for very different goals. Meditation would be just a way to calm the mind.
Momentanean.
This is very useful. Very, very useful. I'm going to say something. I've seen so many clients over the years, and they say to me, I have meditated for 30 years. I say, oh, well.
You know, it doesn't look like.
And then they still have the problem. Wonderful. I think meditation is a problem gone. That's what, if your problem is gone, yes. You can meditate for the rest of your life, but then you still have a stain in the carpet. Fix a stain. You can keep repainting the house and put new ceilings on, but there's still a stain on the carpet. For me, hypnosis is targeted that, no, my stain is gone, my problem is gone. That's specific what hypnosis can be used for. To get real to the actual problem.
That situation. Interesting. Very interesting. Can you tell me something about how can you do for the patient relax? Like, for example, before your hypnosis, so you make the patient relax, all right? So how do you make the person relax and you start to do the hypnosis?
I think you must be relaxed first.
Yeah, but look, I'm a Reiki healing, for example. I do in myself. I do the level 1, 2, 3, for example. So I know I need to have like the frequency of my body slow down for start to healing myself. But in some situations that you have, for example, people for a drug addiction, people for some trauma, sometimes I believe so the people arriving in your office just like, oh my gosh, it's coming like I was busy, I was in a rush and in traffic, and, you know, when they come like in different situations.
NLP use of words pacing and leading. So if the client comes in and they're all hyper and rushed and traffic, I won't sit there and say, and now we can relax. No, I'll be standing and I will be pacing them. So modeling them, also be a bit more showing of hands and breathing.
Mm-hmm.
So be in the same state they are, a little bit more, meeting them in their state they are. And then I will lead them into a new state by, okay, let's sit down. And as I breathe slower, they will breathe slower. In NLP, use a technique called matching and mirroring. I will move my hands and my legs and my body. I will match their body. So if you sit like that, I'll model that.
Mm-hmm.
So people who look like each other, the unconscious mind would start copying the other person. So if I sit like you sit, there's immediate rapport, and then I can begin to slow down my breathing and your body will begin to follow me. But if I sit like this,
you're blocking all the kind of more communication.
Yeah. So I will always match and mirror them. And when they move, I will move. So it's a very sneaky NLP technique because they were modeling people who have great rapport, like loving couples. And what they found, when the one move legs, the other one will move legs. And when they one move hands, they become like one organism.
Yeah.
So they found, maybe we can just do that. So they started doing that. So if you do that, then I'll do that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So unconsciously, the unconscious mind begin to connect with me. And then I will just breathe slower and slower, and voice will change, and you will feel yourself just going, oh, I can relax now. So it's a bit of a
copy and paste what people are doing as well, or make it feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing. Question, another thing. What kind of hypnosis do we have? You just have a traditional trance, like they make people relax and, you know, you slowly go inside?
No, there's lots of different kinds. I mean, think of the old...
what is the most common you use?
I think these days is more conversational.
Conversation?
Yeah. They call it Milton Ericksonian model hypnosis, where you just sit and talk. But you talk in a very specific way with specific language patterns. And you use stories. And by using a story, voice tone, embedded commands, linguistic different patterns, it becomes hypnosis and very, very hypnotic. So it's a model which was modeled from a very famous hypnotherapist in America, Milton Erickson. And I think more and more people use that Ericksonian model where you use about 20, 25 language patterns. And just by using those language patterns, it can be open eyes hypnosis. So that's one. Another hypnosis, think of people walking over coals, at warm coals, and it doesn't burn them. They're not sleepy, they're hyperactive there. But again, or in some religions over the world, they can put spears through their skin or needles, and that's like a very high level of hypnosis, but they're fully awake just by dancing. They're in a trance-like hypnotic state, but they're not relaxed. But again, we call it an uptime trance, where people dance around a fire, walking on coals. That's hypnosis. So that's another kind of hypnosis, and a lot of the, I think a lot of cults have that, where people are hypnotized all the way. And in a lot of cults, they're never sleepy, but there's hypnosis brainwashing there, but the people are actually put into a trance, and they will do anything, even mass suicide, like a lot of cults do. They're in a hypnotic state, and the person never said, just by influencing them, certain words, sentences, and when religion, whatever, the person gets all the power over them. So in a way, hypnosis is releasing control over to another person. So there's very different kinds of hypnosis. You never actually have to close your eyes. A good hypnotherapist will never ask you to close your eyes.
Is it that is a hypnosis with medication as well? You take some medication like ayahuasca, for example, and then you start to do a conversation with hypnosis. Do you know about this?
I know some people will use some medication to
get through
get a bit more relaxed state, Just in a really hyper state or very high levels of ADHD, often they'll take a bit of medication just to get a little bit of a flow. I know some hypnotherapists in other countries would even have put an injection for the client to just calm them down to a little bit of a more relaxed state. Especially clients who's very in their heads all the time.
Yeah, mental thing. And
so I wouldn't recommend to have drinks or alcohol before session, because that's not the kind of relaxation you want.
No, you don't want that.
I had that before, and it's like, oh my goodness, no, this is not going to work.
No.
So the client said, I had a few shots or wines before I came. Do you think it can still work? It's like, no, I don't think so. Next time we can do different techniques to relax you. No alcohol before the session. I prefer a client not to have any alcohol or traditional drugs. I had clients before use some psilocybin, micro doses of those type of things. Yeah, that works, because it works different in the nervous system than other drugs. So yeah, it can make a hypnosis session even work better for some clients. I don't prescribe that, so it's up to you.
Yes, please, guys. I'm not saying that. Question: can you explain for me the 7+2 trance induction? How does this work? Like, is it literally the 7 keys to? Well, I was a little bit curious about this.
There's so many different trance inductions.
Can you put like in these trance inductions? Can you put some songs or for people get relaxed?
Yeah. So one of the most famous inductions is. Tell me about a favorite place you feel totally safe, totally relaxed. If you can choose any place, where would that be? So a lot of people say to me, my bed in the bedroom. Okay, right.
All right, let's do it.
Then I was asked, where else? Do you like nature? What's your favorite place? People say garden. Oh, I like the beach. Okay, so would it be okay if you just, in your mind, I go and test. What does it feel like when you're at the beach? Tell me what you see. Okay, I see that. And I want everything you see to help you to just let it go. Right. What sounds do you hear? So I go through all the senses, and I say every time, what's the sounds? The birds. Oh, there's people. I can hear the waves. And as you hear the waves, that's right. That means you can relax even deeper. What does the sand feel like? So by the time you go through all the senses, and imagine you add there the sun is setting. And as the sun is setting, when the sun sets, you'll be in a really deep, relaxed state. So just using that 5, 4, 3, 2, they go into very, very deep state. And I can see how
It happened before, like you have to wake up, people say, hey, wake up.
I think hypnotherapy, as a hypnotherapist, is a bit like an anesthetist. You don't want them too deep. The moment you go too deep, you go into delta frequency, which is sleep. Then a lot of the suggestions won't work. Hypnosis is alpha and theta frequency. It's a very specific frequency where you can plant suggestions. The moment they go beyond that, they sleep. So hypnosis don't work for everyone. Sometimes, especially with men, say older men often, the moment you say relax, they go no up. So, and there's just a few clients I can't even say I want you to relax. The moment you say relax, they just fall asleep, And so I have to be very careful.
I'll be one of them.
Yeah, so
I sleep.
So some people you need deeper inductions. Some people I won't let them close their eyes. I just say to them, relax your body but keep your eyes open.
Yeah.
And they can go in a trance with open eyes. I'll just say, I find a point on the wall. I want you just to and keep your eyes open. Look at that point and don't look away from that point while I'm talking to you. As I have a fixed gaze stare, I'm sure they're awake. So that's a really, really good point. I've learned that the hard way, and I had to wake people up and say, hey, no, you can't go that deep. So I think like an anesthetist, you can't get them too deep or too shallow. It must be just the right amount there. And over time you learn, because I watch a client all the time. I can see when they go too deep, and then I bring them up again. And if they're too up, I bring them down again. So there's a lot of skill involved there as well.
Yeah.
And you learn that over time because it's different for every client. Every person is different.
No, totally.
So you'll do different hypnosis techniques for every person. You can't have the same for every person. Some will spend certain techniques for induction, getting them there. Others you will just say, you've been relaxed before, haven't you? Yeah, so just go there. That's enough. Others you have to do a lot of work.
And how many sessions do you think it's necessary? Okay, you said about until the session, when you see that the results is coming up, you don't need that, blah. But you recommend like in one session it's solved most of the things?
No, a small percentage can be solved in one session. I would say 6-7 sessions max. If you can't solve it in that amount of time, then something is not right. So 6-7 sessions should be okay. Things like drug addiction, alcohol addiction, it's not only up to you. The client has to join a support group, make sure there's enough friendship support, family support. You can do all the work you do, but if the person goes back to the same context, it's not going to make a difference. So I have to know something about the person's life as well. So if they're in a group of friends where everyone is using drugs, I can do all the therapy and the work for as long as I want. If that doesn't change, this is not going to work.
I see.
So I have to know something about what's going on in the person's life, especially with those type of things. If the client lives in an abusive relationship, I can do all the therapy and hypnotherapy, but somewhere there's other stuff which needs to. I make sure that I know what's going on in the context of their lives a bit. So with women who's in an abusive relationship, I'm not going to do hypnotherapy while they're being beaten up every day. I want to get some other things straight first, sometimes very practical things, before I do the actual hypnosis. So it's taking an interest in the client's life. I think that's really important.
I see.
So if a child's bullied at school and they're still going on every day, I'm not going to do any hypnosis client. Maybe get them in a new school or fix that first. That if they're out of the danger, then we can start working with that. But if they're still in danger, no.
No, it's not your problem. The people has to do something.
Yeah.
Questions. What's the pros and cons about the hypnosis that you feel?
Cons? I don't have any cons.
No.
I just know just pros, yeah.
Yeah, what's the pros do you think is?
Oh, it's like you can become a whole new person. It's your best chance to change something very deeply inside your mind, inside your brain. Permanent change. Something which was there for a very long time. You can be free of that forever.
That's amazing.
Cons, yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of people who will tell that bad experiences. I belong to the Australian Hypnotherapy Association, and not once has it ever come up that people were ever harmed through hypnosis. The actual process is impossible because it's a natural process. You go into hypnosis every day when you sit at the traffic light and
Yes.
it's hypnosis.
Yes. Yeah, you think like everything's moving, you're just looking for the point.
That's genuine trance. You go in trance every few minutes. It's natural state. All I'm using is that brain's natural state. I open it up a bit longer, and then I can So I don't think there's any bad stuff about hypnosis. Stage hypnotherapy, and that's for fun, and sometimes stage hypnotherapy, can cause a bit of problems for people as well, because they don't know who they get on that stage. There might be someone with a trauma or something, and suddenly they come on a stage and the trauma jumps out. So, but that's a different type of thing. It's still the same, but they just do it for fun. And I use the same, but for people to change permanently. And it's really important, permanently. A problem was there, and now it's gone.
Yeah.
So they don't even think about it anymore. Sort of, I had that problem. It's like,
before. Yeah.
It feels
That's
like
amazing.
so far away.
No, that's magic.
Yeah,
literally. Yeah. But many of the answers are always inside ourselves. So
inside.
Always inside. Question about your mental health, because you're dealing with lots of mental health for people. So how you look after yourself?
I break every day between work and going home.
Mm-hmm.
Exercise,
I know. Yeah.
sauna, steam bath, nature, and I make sure I don't work at home.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I don't work at home, and I don't work weekends, and I don't take calls after hours. And make sure your work and home is two different things. And again, I think the best answer for that is you have to heal yourself first. When I train students and they still have their own stuff inside, they will pick up all the stuff from the clients. And that client with the low depression and low self-worth will come and lie in them. And that one, sadness will come and line with them. And then they have burnout within a few months. I work with line, and I literally can't, sometimes I don't even know who I've seen that day. It's so shut off. It's just gone. When they go out of the room, I shut up as well.
So you never take the problem for your place?
No, but in order to do that, I think you as a therapist must constantly work on yourself. Constantly. So, I do that. And then we call it peer groups and supervisor groups.
Yeah.
Professional, and we have to attend that every month. And that's a place where we clean ourselves.
Yeah.
And make sure that our minds are healthy. So you are checked with your peers and your support. So you have to, I think emergency workers, there's constant support for them. You have a duty towards yourself to keep your mind and your body healthy. Otherwise, you can't do your work. So I look after myself first, always. I'm much more important than any client in my life. Not the other way around. Most clients come and see me because they put everyone else first and not themselves. Good therapists always look after themselves first. You are more important than any client. The people in this type of professions often have a little bit of too much help. And they're not helping people, they're over-helping people.
Yeah, bringing the problem for yourself.
Yeah.
So, it's not good.
Because a lot of people in health professions come from a place, I will help you because I need your validation. If you heal, I feel good. No, I feel good even if you don't heal. I still feel good. I don't depend on your healing for me to feel good. I just feel good and I'm still okay. Even if you don't get the outcome. Well, if you haven't healed, oh shit, you haven't healed. What's wrong with me? What must I do better? No. In the end, it's your duty. I do what I do. Whatever you do, it's up to you. And I think this is what good therapists in is, they can validate themselves. It's nice if you get feedback, but you don't depend on that. I mean, how many clients will give you feedback?
Imagine.
Yeah, not many will give feedback. And then clients move on and I wanted to say to you, that thing you did 2 years ago with me, it really worked. So, thank you for telling me now, but what do we do? So I've learned over time, very few clients will actually come and tell you, but I know it worked.
Yeah. And I have to deal with more ego. Yeah.
We're always a part of ego, aren't we? But if you really need that from clients...
you need some dealing with some therapy as well.
Yeah. You have to... work with yourself first.
Yes, that's something about validation.
You
Yeah.
don't need that amount of validation from
No,
outside.
you don't need it, believe me. Okay, about curiosity yourself. So, what do you do in your free time? What do you do? You read. You say you don't work in the weekends, which is really pleasant and privileged stuff.
I like gardening.
Gardening.
Yeah, I find it very useful to be in a garden, plants around me, feel it brushing on me, and trimming them and getting my hands dirty. I really like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's something about nature and working in nature, changing things and planting and things dying off and replanting is really exciting.
Yeah.
That's really enjoy doing that. And then I love reading books about art and looking at art auctions. And
Trips. Do you like to travel?
when I was younger, I used to travel much
What do
more.
you mean when you're younger? You're still young. Don't be silly.
Uh,
Age is just a number.
Travel for me can literally be just traveling to a park these days. It's enough travel, but I traveled so much in my life that maybe you go through phases in your life. Maybe some traveling again sometime, but don't have that sense of expansion all the time and have to be somewhere in a new country all the time. I think at this stage of my life, I really like silence more and places where there's just nature and just no people and no cars. It's just really
Less
love that.
people.
Yeah, so it's just nice to go somewhere south and just be in a space where it's just silent.
I think that's one of the amazing things in Perth. That's a really developed a city, but you don't have so many people.
Yeah, there's space. I remember traveling in some parts of the world and I felt, I just want to go back to Perth. There's space. There's space around you. That's why I like higher ceilings as well. My house has high ceilings. I like the space. People come and see me. Why? They want to have space inside themselves. They want to feel light. And the client will say to me, feels like I have space. I can breathe. I feel lighter. So I think I naturally gravitate towards places where there's space. And if there's 5 million people and I can't breathe, I like space. And with the space comes silence.
If you be to Brazil, so
I
if you be just in São Paulo, it's just 11 million.
That.
Yeah, 11 million São Paulo.
That. Yeah, I look at that and
Yeah, I understand. Question about living here in Australia. Okay, it's a question that I always ask for everybody.
Yeah.
What do you think that the media, TV, internet, doesn't show about Australia? They should know. Like, it can be a good thing or bad thing, up to you. And about your country as well.
What they don't show about Australia?
Yeah, they should show. You can be a good thing or bad thing, up to you. You say.
I think it's generally very safe. I remember even now, people walking in parks at night, alone, or jogging somewhere in the dark, everywhere. And I found that extremely strange when I came here. In South Africa, you locked all the time. The moment the sun goes down, you locked even more, and everything is always locked. So it's a very, very safe place to live. And when we feel safe in the nervous system, people can relax.
Yeah,
it's generally very safe. You never think of who's following me. Well, not that everything in Australia, but generally it's much, much safer.
And what about your country?
Oh my Lord, no.
Yeah. Because they have good things to living there as well. For example, my country, Brazil, I think the people need to show more how welcome we are. It's like people. If people know our country, we always please people and say, "Hey, come forward," and trying to understand people what they say. Like even they don't speak Portuguese, we try to teach people Portuguese lessons or some words to say. So it's kind of our culture. Yeah. So what about your country? If your culture is really, really amazing.
I think it's very innovative. And they will make a plan with the bare necessities. They will make a plan and make something work in ways creatively which first world countries will never do. They can make something work with the minimum. And second, I think that people with very little can live happy lives. A lot of my clients I see have very, very well lives, very good lives, and they're always unhappy.
No,
You know,
because it's not about money.
yeah.
It's money for us.
You know that sentence which is often said to me so many times. I have everything I need. I have a happy marriage. I have beautiful children. All my needs are met, and I am so unhappy. Then I want to say, yes, it's because you have way too much. Well, in South Africa, there's so many people suffering with bare, and they still smile and they're still happy.
Yeah, same in Brazil.
And I find that really amazing. And it tells us something about the human condition. We don't need much. Part of all these, like of the psycho illnesses we have, is because we have too much. The nervous system doesn't need all of that.
No.
I often think there's a bare minimum you need. And as I move on in my life, I realize I don't need anything. I want less. It's where your needs for stuff gets less and less. I'd rather have another hug or stroke my cat. And I think this is something maybe about South Africa, which is often not shown, is that the people of some level, I think, really happy. They're always smiling and they're always nice. And the last time I went back now, 2 months ago, I was surprised about the friendliness. The restaurants, well, in a restaurant in Australia often is not that friendly.
No. Sorry, guys. That's it. Done.
Yeah, it's just like...
Whatever.
I was really... Because I haven't been to Australia for South Africa for a few years, I was very surprised about how absolutely friendly the people are. Everywhere. All the shops. Really, really friendly people. Basic friendliness and kindness. Yeah, and I know there's a lot of crime and all of that, but the basic people are just very, very friendly, which is not that great. Yes, not that Australia is not a friendly country, but it's like, you know what, everyone just do their things. Get on with it, mate. You know, it's like, yeah, there's not that very welcoming warmness almost, which I find in South Africa. That's definitely very warm. People are very, they're almost embracing.
Yeah, because they don't have much people there, so like you need to be welcoming to people come inside business and things like that. So it's a different perspective. Sometimes here I notice people go more for the price than the service. So it's different. Between the service and between the countries.
The service is just South Africa's real service is a smile. It's always a smile. Yeah, it's just like here's your food. Woof. It's like,
whatever, thanks. Yeah. Amazing.
No big drama, just here's your food.
How do you see yourself in 5 years? You not say 5 years old, please. No, don't. Something.
Maybe more teaching.
Teaching?
Yeah, maybe.
Do you have a plans to teach in uni?
I think more teaching therapists more and help. And maybe just teaching people skills, mind skills, and workshops, how to help themselves. A lot of these techniques are just basic emotional intelligence, and for teaching workshops and techniques, NLP, hypnosis, just teaching people that themselves, that they can actually help themselves. Instead of having to see therapists all the time, some of it is really, really easy to teach yourself. So I would like to teach more. Teach therapists more, teach people more, teach counselors and teach psychologists.
Hey, that sounds a plan. Yeah. And a dream that it hasn't been come through yet, but you would like to.
No, nothing. All my dreams are perfect.
Don't have any more dreams for your life?
I haven't thought about that. I feel fulfilled. I don't have much. I actually feel my life is perfect.
That's great. Yeah, great perspective. Well done. Yeah, I feel the same. My life is perfect. I have health. I have my house. I have friends. I have family. I'm a happy person. I feel good, and so it's good. Yeah, I understand.
But I think I had a thought this morning that I think one of the greatest privileges in life is to spend your life with a kind person. You can spend your life with someone kind. I think is one of the greatest gifts life can give you. There's not many kind people. Everyone wants to be kind, but there's not many people living a kind life.
Yeah.
And if you get one of those people where kindness is the natural state of being, I think it's one of the greatest gifts you can ever have.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I feel very privileged to have kindness in my life. So that's why I say, no, I don't have more dreams.
Question: I don't know if you heard about war moment. The war, it says the gay slang in my country. They say like meh, like the people from RuPaul Drag Race. They say like something is not good, but no, it's something like so. What do you think about in the moment, like the world where you have a war moment, and then you feel like you should change the situation? It can be here in world, it can be in Australia, it can be in your country, it can be a behave, can be something that can be changed.
And regarding in my field of therapy, I think the government should have much more support, financial support, and make things like hypnotherapy or any somatic therapies where there's a real deep unconscious help for clients, to make that much more government supported, like there's like Medicare plans for that. Something which will take like 10 or 20 sessions in traditional psychology can be much faster in these new kind of things. And it's changing, the world's changing, while I think there's not enough government support for these new kinds, which is actually not new anymore, but there's still too much left brain talk therapy. Thousands of people every day sit and talk about their problems with therapists every day. They walk out and it hasn't changed. Every client I see has seen so many other talk therapists and it hasn't changed.
That's crazy. It's old-fashioned. It's the new generation, so they need to be changed.
Yes, and the government should bring in that support, because a lot of people can't afford that. They can have a plan with a psychologist or for 10 sessions, but often they don't get the real deep change. And I think a lot of other therapy should be included in that. Because all change happens mainly in the unconscious mind. I mean,
do you believe in other kinds of therapy?
Oh yeah, there's any therapy which works on the unconscious mind, from somatic therapy or Chinese medicine. There's a lot of, as long as it works in the unconscious mind. That's where it starts. I mean, most of what we do is all unconscious. How can you work in the 5% conscious and think it's going to bring change, and we sit and talk about it? You have to go there where the problem is, and there are a lot of new therapies. I do a lot of brain spotting as well, which works the same in the unconscious mind. And it's proven over and over again that deep results. A lot of diseases can be solved by this. Stomach stuff. A lot of diseases can actually be healed by working in the unconscious. Not everything, of course not, but you have a much better chance to work with some gut disease or IBS, working with these kind of therapies and talking about it. I mean, that's all inside the body. So hypnosis is often used for diseases and pains, and autoimmune diseases have a better chance of getting there because it works inside the body, which is the unconscious mind. Talking about my problem, I have to go down there where the problem is. So yeah, I would like to see more government support for these type of things, because people want to do these therapies, but often they don't have the money.
Yeah.
And not expensive.
They need help for the government as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it happens. Ernest, thank you so much for coming. Guys, I'll leave you the QR code for Ernest here in the screen, so you contact him for some sessions, which was such amazing experience, because we have a beautiful chat here and say, what's the difference between this, that? Now you guys know as myself, and now you can contact Ernest anytime. By the way, and also leaving my QR code for Brigadeiro for you get it with some amazing desserts. Have you prepared for your Christmas?
No.
No? So you're gonna leave for last minute thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, well done. I'm joking, but because Christmas for me is a time that I like to eat. No guilty. I like to have pleasement, you know, because I'm working hard whole day, whole year. So on Christmas, I push like, okay, gonna eat whatever I want. It depends if this is fat or not. I'm gonna eat there because it's very. How can I say that? We Brazilians, we share food, and then you cook a lot. We love to cook a lot. So yeah, so I'm asking that. So what is the main thing for you like to eat in the Christmas time? Is it savory or just sweet?
Yeah, I think more savory.
Savory, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm big fan of dessert.
Oh, you're a dessert man.
Yeah, I'm dessert man.
Yeah,
And then
I'm not a big dessert man.
no,
Not so
because you
much.
haven't tried the Brigadeiro, which is a company here. Yeah, Brigadeiro, it's amazing. They do many kinds of desserts and mainly now for the Christmas. So it's amazing. I'll leave the QR code here in the screen. And by the way, guys, don't forget to follow Ernest in the social medias and book in the next session. If you're feeling anything like you can help, you haven't tried to many kinds of therapists, now it's a new thing for you. Okay? Thank you so much, Ernest, for coming and share this amazing knowledge for us. And I'm thinking, I'm sure, and people are going to look out forward for you soon.
It was a pleasure.
Okay, thank you, Seth. Bye bye, guys.